I'm Jack Countryman.
Welcome to our video, Atlantis, Tenerife. Based on my internationally selling book, Atlantis and the Seven Stars, more recently revised, Atlantis Tenerife edition. In our video, we're going to make a very strong case that Atlantis is Tenerife, island in the Canaries. In order to achieve this, we are going to present the beautiful Pleiades accompanied by Johann Strauss as a foundation for our theories.
The origins of the Mediterranean civilization may lie in a beautiful cluster of stars called the Pleiades, 400 light years from Earth. They are in the constellation of Taurus and easy to find without the aid of a telescope. The Pleiades and their constellation Taurus are deeply embedded in the world's history and institutions to a degree that suggests this area of the sky may be linked to this planet in broader dimensions than the small rays of starlight it shines on Earth. In studying ancient literature, there seems to be evidence that beings came out of the Pleiades and landed on our planet. It seems incredible to us at first, but may be elementary to a universe whose fundamental laws are the communication and intergalactic mixing of her species. In the framework of a large galaxy, these stars are close and the equivalent of our next-door neighbors. Compounding this, the enormity of stars in this cluster may have produced a large number of planets capable of evolving intelligent beings that progress to the stage of making a voyage to our nearby shores. We have emphasized too much the possibilities of celestial visitations from our solar system, which so far has proven quite lifeless. The Pleiades, only a little further away in the scale of an infinite universe, may well be the system that sent forth cosmic initiators to Earth. There are approximately 250 stars which are considered as belonging to the Pleiades, but it is 7 bright stars and at times a few companions that figure prominently in our traditions. It is legitimate to theorize that all these stars may contain a solar system, even though these stars are younger than our sun. In a small telescope, the Pleiades is one of the loveliest sights to be seen. The whole field of the telescope is blazing with stars in glorious profusion, in streams and loops, and in all possible combinations. The Pleiades seem to be the first stars mentioned in astronomical literature, appearing in Chinese annals of 2537 BC. In later years, they probably have been studied more than any other group. Euripides, Sappho, and Homer made reference to them. Hesiod called them Atlas-born. We will see later that the statement is distorted through time. The Pleiades are not the descendants of Atlas. Atlas was a descendant of these stars and lived on Earth. And later in the literature of the Rubaiyat of the poet-astronomer Omar Khayyam in 1123, the tent maker of Nashapur, who stitched the tents of science, they were referred to as the begetters, as beginnings of all things. This will attempt to elaborate on this extremely powerful statement. Also, they are intimately connected with traditions of the flood found among so many and wildly separated nations, and especially in the deluge myth of Chaldea. Grecian temples were oriented to them, among which was the Great Parthenon. In the New World, they were well-known objects in Mexico and South America. In ancient times, they were a well-marked object on the Nile. Professor Charles Piazzi Smith suggested that the 7 chambers of the Great Pyramid commemorate these stars. If he was right, it seems reasonable to add that the presently unknown builders of the Great Pyramid may have been from the Pleiades. Savage tribes knew the Pleiades familiarly. The natives of Tonga Islands called them the Little Eyes. The Abipones of the Paraguay River called them their grandfather, and hold festivals at the reappearance of the Pleiades in May. Perhaps the term grandfather is used because the older and wiser civilizations of the Pleiades once came to Earth and influenced these tribes. South American legends state the Pleiades were inhabited and sent gods to Earth, the exact theme of our world's most fascinating story. The Mayas, who alleged to be children of the Pleiades, so did the Berbers of northern Africa, and wildly separated from them the Dayaks of Borneo, all thinking them the central point of the universe. Until Copernicus in the 16th century, man had always believed that the Earth was the center of the universe. What possessed these ancient people to point to a select area of the sky, far beyond the Earth and the solar system, and proclaim it as the center of the universe? Australian tribes to this day dance in honor of the 7 stars because they were good to the blackfellows. In 1940, Professor Marcel Hamed, the great archaeologist, made discoveries concerning the Pleiades in South America. Amongst his finds was the inscription of the bull head on stones. He found the figure of bulls on a disc that seems to show the setting up of a theocratic government to natives. The bulls are probably symbolic of Pleiades celestials. Some of his other finds connected the Pleiades to Poseidon, the god of the Atlanteans. The ancient bull also has deep roots in the Atlantis story. And the symbol of the ancient bull is the Taurus constellation containing the Pleiades. We owe many of our clues concerning the historical linkage to the Pleiades from the Egyptians and their Atlantis story, and the Greeks and their mythology, probably based on real events in prehistory. Much of our knowledge of the Pleiades is owed to the French. 2 French astronomers, Paul and Prosper Henry, ushered celestial photography into the 19th century. They were working at the Paris Observatory at the time astronomers were interested in discovering minor planets. To assist them, the Henry brothers drafted detailed maps in zodiac areas. Their work was started in 1873 and was strictly visual. However, when they reached the area of the zodiac splitting the Milky Way, the stars were so immense they had to resort to photography. In 1885, they obtained striking results on one of their first plates of the Pleiades. The beautiful stars revealed themselves in a vast nebula invisible to the naked eye. This was the first nebula discovered by photography. Another feature was discovered. The Pleiades exploded into twice as many stars as shown on previous maps. The Paris Observatory became enthusiastic and planned an international carte du ciel. In 1887, a Congress of International Astronomers met in Paris to plan the execution of a photographic map of the sky. 21 observatories around the world shared the work. We are now going to present the idea that these beautiful stars may be the foundation of Tenerife Island and its counterpart, the Mediterranean regions.